So yeah, everyone can see me right now? Or no? Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Oh, okay. I see. Awesome. So welcome everyone to the first UTO Creative and Communications Campfire. Today we're going to be having this inaugural session to really talk about who we are, who you are, how you can partner with us, and also to get a really good sense from you on what are some communications topics that might be of interest to you for future sessions. As a newly minted team, you could think of this a little bit as a meet and greet. So after we kind of get through some going over our services and ways to partner, or even before that, you'll get to know just a little bit about who you're actually dealing with on the team. But before we get into all of that, I can see by names who's in Zoom. I could see all of you around the room. But if everyone doesn't mind just kind of really quickly going around introducing themselves and maybe what team at UTO they're coming from and what they do, just so we have a sense of who's sitting around our campfire, that would be fantastic. First off, my name is Samantha Becker, and I'm the Executive Director for Creative and Communications at UTO. Next up, we'll just kind of go around the room here. We got Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Farley-Metzger. I'm part of the admin team at UTO. I do admin stuff.
Super awesome ninja admin stuff. This is the best.
I'm Chris Deaton. I work for Bonnie in Development and do release management and other stuff.
Fantastic.
Hi, Margaret Acosta. I'm a business analyst associate, and I work with the e-advisor team, so student-facing applications.
Wonderful.
Warwick Fond. I work in the Strategic Implementation Office under the Office of Digital Transformation.
I'm Sandy Johnson. I work in the Strategic Finance Business Office, and I work on network contracts and work streams.
I'm Tristan Edelman. I'm part of the Creative and Communications team.
But what do you do?
I'm the editorial specialist is my new title. So we'll get into what that means.
Perfect.
I'm Danielle Batal-Steele, project manager, and hopefully soon doing more people change management stuff.
Awesome.
Clifford Alexander. I'm the digital storyteller for the Creative and Communications Group.
Karina Bastiglio-Camilli, communications specialist. I do a little of this, a little of that.
So pretty accurate and thorough description, I would say. That covers it. That was actually in the job description. So. There are a number of us tuning in, for those of you in the room on the screen. Screen meet room, room meet screen. And so I just want to kind of go down at least the view I have, so you can introduce yourselves. And Casey, you're up first.
My name is Casey Davis, and you're not. I am with the Instructional Systems Design and Training team. I am an instructional designer, and I do anything that Zella tells me to. So.
Fantastic. Okay, next up on the screen is Dixon.
Hey, so normally I'm at USB. I am working remotely from Wisconsin this week. And before I jump into what team I'm on, I just wanted to share, I'm at my dad's home office, and he's got basically like a Kelly Tran shrine, including this. Our family friend was so he's got the action figure on his desk right now. I thought this was amazing.
That's so funny.
Wow.
She was friends with my younger sister. Oh, wow. Yeah, I work on the analytics team. And we're behind analytics at asu.edu, dashboards at asu.edu, my reports, that sort of thing.
Fabulous. Thanks for joining us. Next up on my screen, Katie.
Hi, Sam. I'm at home and you're not.
I'm noticing a trend.
I'm currently consulting with the Canes team on the move to AWS for PeopleSoft.
Fantastic.
Thank goodness.
Thank you. Roger.
Hi, I'm Roger Schmidt with Desk Side USI. I break it, you fix, or you break it, I fix it.
Fantastic. Michael B.
Howdy, Michael Blumbaum on the Salesforce team. Sorry, no camera. Double multitasking right now, so but
No
listening
problem.
in closely.
That's how we roll. No problem. And Rodney.
Hi everybody, Rodney Gamal. I'm with the LMS instructional design team over at CPCom. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And Erin is so awesome that there's 2 instances of her in this room. So let's just hear from the original Erin. I don't want the clone.
No, I like having clones. It makes me get all my work done. It's the only way it happens. My secret.
That's the secret. Now you know it. That's on the bag.
Dang
That's what the C stands for, cloning, creative communications and cloning.
So I'm sorry I'm not
thanks.
there. I am unfortunately sitting outside of an emergency room right now. So that is the fun for me. I am the event coordinator with the creative and comms team.
Fabulous, and we'll get to hear more from you soon. Is there anyone I didn't get to?
The very bottom.
Oh, sorry, I just saw the, yeah, I'm tuning 2 together. Unfortunately, there aren't names on the,
I don't know why.
apologies. It's just, can't tell because it's a drawing.
Yeah.
Very cool drawing.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, please feel free to chime in, even in the chat. So lots going on today. So we've welcomed you. Do you feel sufficiently welcomed?
Where's Donnell?
Oh, Donnell joined.
I'm late, sorry.
Nope, okay, you gotta go. Well, who are you?
I don't know. I'm Donnell Kelly. I am Tina Thornton's virtual assistant, and I'm happy to be here right now.
We're happy to have you here. Thanks for being here. So, we're just kind of gonna spend just a little bit of time kind of as a new team, kind of sharing with you who we are, what we're doing here, and how we're gonna get that done, and hopefully in partnership with you. To give you a little bit of background, and I'll have the whole team kind of share about their roles specifically so you can see who all the superheroes are on this makeshift Avengers that we have in the middle of UTO. But like any good team foundation or organization foundation, a mission statement is really helpful. And so here's one that we put together to really share who we are and what we're doing. Some things to highlight here to know about us is we truly aim to operate like a creative agency. So each of the team kind of comes with a different set of expertise. Oftentimes it's overlapping expertise, sometimes not at all. And so we're able to, through this kind of mixed bag of skills that we're constantly learning and growing from each other, deliver on a wide range of services in content creation and communication strategy. And to learn more about that, we now have a website because, hey, we do that too. We create content for websites. How about that? Something to know about our vision is that we're all kind of, as you can see, we're creative and communications. So we're all about the plus. The proof is in the plus because we believe in being a value add to UTO, being a value add to each of the teams and the projects that we're working on. And so it's sort of this duality and this plus that drives us in our vision in a lot of ways. So it's the blending, it's not just strategy, but it's the blending of empathy and how we think about inclusion and engagement of our stakeholders in the process. Gone are the days where marketing and communications are a one-way street. How do we bring people into the conversation? It's not necessarily about marketing, truly it's about community building around all the phenomenal work that UTO is doing to drive organic adoption and successful usage. And we're here to tell the story about that along the way, and also through events and other means like this, create experiences where people like us could come together and talk about communications related topics that are important for the success of the organization. And then because we are a small but mighty team, just the Fab Five of us right now, we are all about finding means and ways to empower the whole of UTO, everyone, to be better and better communicators. I was reading an article last night about how the power of the art of creating, the art of persuasion has not changed in 2,000 years. And it's truly all about also arming people with the resources and the ability and the skills to be able to communicate the change that they wish to see so they can make their case. I think that is very much a root story of innovation. So all this is to say, we hope to empower UTO more and more as we continue to get off the ground with more resources and templates to where if you're going to present somewhere, you're hosting an event, you have some places to start that are, you know, jive with the brand, on point, the right fonts, and also kind of get you thinking about how you want to align around your vision for your project, because that's a huge part of communications. So I really love at this point to personally stop talking because my team is phenomenal and you need to meet all of them more in depth. So I'm Sam, as you know. I'd like to toss it over to Karina to share a little bit about herself. Oh no, Aaron's first. Aaron, you're up first. On to you.
How did that happen? Okay, so here I am. I'm, like I said, the event coordinator. I've always wanted to do this. This was my dream job, so I'm excited to be able to do this with all of you. One of the main things I wanted to do it is, I was in class one day and they said, what's your goal in life? And mine was to bring people together to make memories. So event coordination is just ideally what I want to do. I did go to school. I have a degree in marketing, tourism, and event management. I am considered the producer is what Sam has made my superpower name. So I find that to be fun. I like that. About me, I have 2 girls. I have a lovely husband who's in the hospital. But I'm originally from Wisconsin, which makes me a huge Packer fan. I like to do anything crafty that can possibly be done. Sewing, scrapbooking, it doesn't matter as long as I can make something fun. Another thing about me is that it goes deeper into renovations. I like to redo my house all the time. So probably at any point in time you ever ask me, there's something going down at my house at all times. I love to travel and I am a massive Disney nerd and my favorite holiday is Halloween. That's about me.
Oh, coming right up. Thank you so much, Erin. Erin mentioned she's the producer, so I should just give just a hot second of background here. So building the culture of our team as a new team was very important. So as this creative agency of creative professionals, we all have our superhero personas. We all kind of come with these skill sets. And so this may come up in some of the slides. So Erin is indeed our producer. Next up, Cliff.
Oh, wow. Looks pretty good on the big screen.
It does.
A little bit on the dark side, but well, I am Cliff Alexander. I'm a videographer, video editor, 3D creator, and graphics artist. I do a little bit of everything. Been in the graphics world for almost 20 years now, learning different things, always trying to pick up new stuff all the time. Currently, we're learning AR, VR, all the other fun stuff. And as you see there, I am a problem solver. I like to tell stories. I like all different types of stories, and that's where the 3D and all the other fun stuff comes in. I'm a big Star Trek and Star Wars fan. I don't discriminate against either one of them. And about 2-3 years ago, one of my favorite videos that came out was Batman versus Darth Vader. And so it was pretty funny. If you ever really get a chance to check that out, it's pretty fun. And that's basically me. I mean, like,
Fabulous. Thank you, Cliff. And Cliff is the storyteller. Is his persona.
Digital storyteller.
Tristan.
Yes, my name is Tristan Edelman. I'm the editorial specialist, but my persona is managing editor, so there's some crossover there. What that means is I do a lot of writing and editing. I graduated from Cronkite last year. Yeah, May of last year, doing journalism, but now with that handy tuition waiver, I'm getting my master's in film studies, so hence the favorite movie up there, The Gold Rush, Charlie Chaplin movie. I also love comedy of all kinds, and just like I said, I'm happy to tell people stories, write about UTO, never did.
Awesome. Thank you, Tristan. Oh, this is me. What happened to you, Karina? I guess you're next. Okay. Well, we'll go for me. This is a very crowded slide because I have many interests. I'm Sam Becker. My background is in writing about education technology and digital publishing and running publications. Just worked in publishing and writing and for as long as I could remember. So this is my daughter on the screen. Her name is Marley. That's her, actually from a few days ago. She's the love of my life. Also is next to her is a report. I used to write a series of reports called the Horizon Report that chronicled education technology uptake in learning sectors all over the world. And so it was a great opportunity for me to have like a really wide kind of panoramic view, if you will, of what universities, colleges, schools, museums, other learning focused organizations all over the world were doing to engage students, to be more equitable. And so writing about that and researching it and talking constantly with people in the trenches has been wonderful. And so the opportunity to be at ASU and working inside of a university instead of with a whole bunch of universities at once. To mention ahead, I have my own business, and so I'm coming from the universities as client world too. So the ability to be inside the house at ASU has been just epic and awesome. I love outer space, love the X-Files, must be a connection there. I love dinosaurs, but don't let the proximity to the cast iron skillet fool you. I don't like cooking or eating them. I'm not into that, though I have eaten gator because I used to live in New Orleans. Also lived in Austin, Texas for 11 years, and I was born and raised and now currently live in Chicago. My favorite band is Led Zeppelin, but I also love Taylor Swift, so don't put me in a box. I am a poet first and foremost, and if this was the 1960s or 70s, that's 100% what I'd be doing right now, submitting things to the New Yorker, just hoping, praying. But I'm here, so it's 2019. And if you ever want to strike up an interesting conversation with me, ask me about the Fire Festival. I really like talking about that as a communications professional. No. Criminology was what some of my schooling is in. Trivia, not to toot my horn, but you want me on your trivia team. I love TV, and then would love to talk to you about my education, philosophy, and teaching and learning. So happy to be here to serve all of you and to work alongside you. And Karina, what happened to your slide?
No idea.
There you are. Oh my goodness. Not with Karina out. My goodness.
Gosh, that would have been such a shame.
What is it?
So my name is Karina. I graduated from the U of A, I know, controversial, but with a degree in communication and business. I spent the first 5 years of my career being a litigation paralegal. I do not dabble in consults. And the second, now I guess it's been over 5 years, Warwick hired me as the project coordinator.
Don't bring me in this. It's not my fault.
He brought me into the fold.
You're going to come to the campfire, you might get burned.
No, we're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for hiring me. And I was with the PPMO at the time until this position opened up, which was so awesome because that's what I got my degree in. And I was so thrilled to be using my degree.
Yeah.
I love chatting with people, connecting with people, making people feel comfortable, which leads into my love of cooking, of course. I love fashion. I love my family. That is my baby Theodore on the screen. He is 1 year old, just turned 1. I love Bravo TV. So if you ever want to chat about any of the shows, except Below Deck. I don't watch that. I have to draw the line. And I'm always made fun of because Roboto is the proper font to be using here, people. Please remember. And about 3 years ago, I started Netflix Movie Club. We meet once a month. If you want to join, please. We have assignments like if it was a book club. We watch movies and shows. It's very fun.
But if you miss one, you're disappointed.
But if you miss one, you're out. No.
Oh, we used to mow Sam around that, Danielle.
No. If you miss the first one, it's okay. We give you one chance extra. But yeah, we've been around for 3 years. It's been a really fun lunchtime activity. So I do a lot of things on the team. I do media requests, consults, communication and adoption planning for enterprise-wide, internal, external. What do I do? A little social media. Anyway, I do all the things. Anyway, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Everyone, so as you probably noticed, everyone on the team wears a lot of different hats, and we'll get into the full kind of arc of services we provide. And there's a website where they're all listed and described, so you can reference that as well. It's out of order there. But something to know generally about our philosophy, and as we partner together on various projects and activities. So, you know, perfect example, Warwick and I got an opportunity to work together closely this summer on the Slack project and driving adoption across ASU. And really this came into play, it's about generating pull rather than pushing change. So whether it's an event, a product, a service, we are all about community building and bringing the community and stakeholders in a way that is all about, oh yeah, we want to be a part of this. We understand how this helps us. We're aware of it. We desire to use it, rather than sort of the approach of saying, this is what we're doing now. And so, you know, I think this is kind of an old adage, but definitely one that we stick to kind of at our core, at our creative core on UTO Creative and Comms. And again, our empowering templates and resources are one way that we really like to make sure that we're not just focused on partnering with you on projects, but partnering with all of UTO on being the best communicators we can be. And so we have a page on our website that has various templates like slide decks and branding guides and photography you can use for websites. But if you ever see something missing, you're like, I would really like this. I find that my team is constantly spending time trying to find this, let us know. There is a channel called, I think it's UTO Comms Ambassadors. That is an open kind of feedback channel. We'd love to hear from you on what might be beneficial template-wise to your team. So what services do we provide? So how many of you have teams that utilize the ServiceNow portal for ticket management? Awesome. Okay. So Creative and Comms heavily relies on ServiceNow for our ticketing system. Our website has a really kind of nice descriptions of each of our services, breaking down into subcategories of service, probably more information than you ever want or need. You could always ask us if there's a question, but essentially we'll just spend a little bit of time kind of talking about what each of these services mean, so you can be thinking about maybe where they fit in with your teams and projects and thinking about how we might work together. So around communications consulting, if you have, Danielle, I'm just going to use people in the room because real life examples and what is actually happening at UTO, I think is the best way to show what we do. So around communications consulting, Danielle and the team of people, Katie on the line, have been working on a PeopleSoft migration to AWS. Super exciting, but definitely involves a series of and strategy for how this gets communicated. So Danielle puts in a ticket and gets a communications consultation where even before she and team work on things, they can get advice and recommendations and any resources we have around building this communications so that she can be successful in her team. Danielle, does that sound accurate? That's put you on the spot.
Several tickets.
Several days later.
Several tickets.
But you still hanging out with us.
Not meaning that you haven't we've just had, so project website was a ticket, executive communication was a ticket.
I was going to say, one of our best customers. Repeat customers.
Yes, exactly. And then on the communications adoption side, a lot of us are working on teams that are oriented around a product or service, or even something like the release of Duo. So what does it mean when there's something going on enterprise-wide where we need to inform and educate a variety of stakeholders? How do we drive actual adoption? Well, it's great that we have the content on our website, and there's so much thought being given and that's been given to the service catalog, but those are one-way communications. Those are people coming to us because they know or they saw a link somewhere. So how are we reaching people where they are to let them know? And so for Slack, for example, we put together an adoption plan talking about the various channels. And for every product or service that's adopted at the enterprise level, we come up with a unique value proposition. So when we're communicating to the community, they really understand and see how it's of value to them, not that it's just something cool, shiny, and new. Another thing that we work on is product or service advisories. There are probably some people on the call and even in the room that have been involved with us on this. This is mostly at the executive level. Of course, we know there's people working tirelessly in the Experience Center and also through the ServiceNow platform. These would be major communications that maybe need to come out to senior leadership, informing them of major changes or updates that we're at the helm of. UTO-wide communications is a category. So you may see those announcements that come through our Slack channel, and you may have thought to yourself at one point, well, I have something that would gain traction by sharing with all of UTO. How do I get my voice heard? How do I get this idea out there? You can open a ticket for that, and we'd love to work with you on getting your announcement out. I should mention that our website that has more detail around these services also has expected lead times. So just like the dev team or other teams, to be creative and to produce high quality content, we just asked for proper advance notice. Of course, we understand urgent things come up, hence the product or service advisory category. Outages are outages. UTO-wide communications may also include things like someone is retiring and we want to celebrate that person and let people know how to do that if the person has agreed to that. Editorial and storytelling. You can see Tristan and Cliff kind of hang out in that region of our universe. But this is all about amplifying the work happening across UTO and beyond in our community. What is happening with our mobile app, our smart cities, and what the Experience Center is doing. I mean, I can just sit here and name every single team and every single project. But the bottom line is, if there's not a story about it, did it even happen? That's kind of sometimes how it feels around ASU. And so we want to make sure that things aren't getting overlooked. And that's not necessarily to say we want to tell a story when there's a final polished product. UTO has adopted an agile approach, which means we're kind of addressing and responding to stakeholder needs and feedback as we go. And so telling our story isn't always about the final press release. It's about the journey of getting there. And there's innovation and magic and collaboration in that journey. And so we'll talk to you in a little bit about how to get more involved in helping us tell your stories and how to get more deeply involved in that. But from a base level, if you have an article that needs to be created or reviewed for ASU Now, if you have something that you believe is worthy of social media coverage, there are a number of kind of subcategories in the umbrella of editorial and storytelling that we welcome you to submit tickets to partner with us.
I also just want to say, when we're consulting you if your project has a bigger realm of scope, we will also get into where we think it fits into the editorial calendar for content and stuff like that. So I like to wrap it around in a bow.
Yes, and that's true. Karina brings up a great point. We have an editorial calendar now. One day we can share a view-only link to everyone just to see what we're working on. But our goal is to be working with individual teams. For example, I'll talk about GPIS. They have Cybersecurity Awareness Month is October. And so we were planning a plethora of cybersecurity themed content to share for the month of October. So if you know that your team is working on things that have kind of catalyzing events, like there's some sort of like it's back to school or whatever it is, we try to factor that into our editorial planning and calendar. Thank you for bringing that up. And by the way, my team, please interrupt me at any point. I'm sure I'm going to be forgetting some things. Event coordination. Actually, Aaron, I'd love to pick on you and have you talk about what it means to host an event at UTO and ASU and what you do.
I do a variety of things. An event can be multiple sizes. I was actually working on something that defines the different types of events and when they would need us. So we do mostly, it seems, bigger items most of the time, conferences, workshops, maybe lectures, but there's always non-project meetings that can be reoccurring that can come up that are open to the public, such as Culture Weavers is in there. We help with that, just a consulting version. There's webinars, professional networking, and community engagement that we help with. So event-wise, it could be anything from anything big to small, but truly we're here to help you figure out all the details that you might need to have, or not sure where the holes are to fill in, or just as a resource. Does that work?
Fabulous. No, thank you. Thank you so much. And we are updating our portal because we're learning as we go. And we know that event consulting is important, not necessarily us, you know, especially if it's a smaller event that may be specific to your team or a project you're working on. So Erin definitely has a lot of great tips and recommendations to provide. Karina, I'd love to have you talk about media requests.
Got one today. Very exciting stuff.
So what happens when that? What's the process look like?
So typically, if somebody is approached to write, they want to be a part of an article, or usually typically something like that, I engage media relations to make sure the partnership is okay to move forward. They like to see copy of what's going to be going out. Really just be the liaison, make sure that we're doing everything properly. Today, for example, media relations reached out because the state press wants to interview Tina on privacy and security. And so, yes, so we'll be the liaison, we'll ask for the questions, we'll set up an interview if it's appropriate. Typically, we don't do phone interviews, but that is the case-by-case basis. So just working really closely with the team over at media relations, and they're very great, but we are here to facilitate that for you.
Awesome. And also, like, I have some interesting experience being a part of the press and then someone on the other end of things. So knowing both sides and coming from that world too, I'm always happy, like, especially if you're going to be prepped or interviewed, Tina knows what's up, but especially if it's your first time. I mean, it's something that we love seeing our new people in the organization being interviewed and getting that kind of spotlight. So we're here to help.
Yeah, and after Tina crossed her responses, I will be sending it back through media relations just to CYA on everyone. It's really important, especially with the state press. Sometimes they can turn things on us. Sandy and I have had a couple experiences with the state press, so many eyes on those. Yeah. Many years ago.
Excellent. Signage. This really, there's kind of a couple of different categories of signage. There's signage that relates to events. So we recently had Engage, and we developed some signage specific to Engage. And so Erin is sort of a product owner of that, if you will, from a event perspective. But Karina, I'll call on you since Matthew, I don't think could be here today to just kind of talk about what he does.
So Matthew does communication work for classrooms, and a lot of times they need digital and physical signage for updating the new year of what's going on. He'll also do badges for classroom, anything classroom support related he handles for us, and a lot of that is their digital and physical signage. So.
Thanks. And then we just kind of started hammering out some of our new video categories that will be added to the portal soon. But Cliff, why don't you give us a kind of a sneak peek, pun intended?
Sneak peek. Well, basically, if you're looking for any kind of, if you need a talking head type of video or interview type, or even a typographic type of video put together, and between 2 to 5 minutes, maybe even less than that, maybe a little bit more than that. Typical of what you're looking for graphic-wise to what we do is we're going to set up with how ASU standards for all colors, graphs, text, whatnot that we have. We're going to set that all up. And then also another thing we're probably also going to be working on too as well very soon is audio interviewing, stuff like that. And like we already still have the tools, so we might as well put it to use. We have a number of different things that we are planning on, and we're going to have a full force coming in the next couple of weeks to go ahead and let everyone know exactly what we're going to be doing on all that.
Awesome. So happy to have you aboard, Cliff. Cliff, what, 3 weeks now? 4 weeks?
3 weeks, maybe 2.5.
Excellent.
Can I ask you a question, Cliff?
Please.
So if people have video assets already, but they're not really in a place to be released, they need some help in editing, do you do that?
Oh, yes. I will definitely help you out with that one.
It's one of our subcategories that we added. It's just editing if you already have.
Good.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, happy to help. So moving on, I want to shift gears a little and talk about events because there's so many happening at UTO, and that's so exciting that we're bringing people together. So I'm going to kick this back over to you, Erin, to talk about all that.
Calendar.
Our new events calendar.
Yep, we have the new beautiful events calendar, which is filling up quickly and will begin filling up more soon. It's very exciting. It's really fun to see all the cool things that are happening. I guess I just never knew until it became part of my job.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of water, and we want to try to put everything on here. We want everyone to have the ability to put all of their get-togethers on here, everything from a conference to the date walk for giving back. Anything you guys come up with, we want to be able to get it out there, have a registration. You guys will be able to get reports on who's coming, what you know, anything else you want to collect from the people who are coming, any information. Just, it's going to be the hub for everything. At some point, we'll have an events homepage where we can kind of bunch the big ones together, and that's where you'll always find Empower and Engage or Shaping EDU's ones or any of the other ones that come up all the time. Go back and look at the work, and you just submit a nice ticket. We get you in there. We'll have a talk about anything that might be missing, because if we ask for every piece of information in the ServiceNow ticket, it will never end. So we figured it's just easier to get a high level, and then we'll just come back and fill in the gaps with you and answer any other additional questions that might come up about it. But it's very exciting.
And thank you to Christine for helping kind of let us test a lot of things out with culture related events. That's been really helpful. And more thank yous to go around on this. In addition to Erin, thank you so much, Erin, for helping lead this charge. I want to thank Tara. Are you on the call?
She couldn't join. I just saw her.
Oh, bummer. Well, we want to thank Tara and Ellie, who could not be on the call today, but were integral in making this happen. And I know other culture weavers were likely involved in the planning of this. And so I just want to say thanks to everyone who made this come together so quickly. And if you're sitting there looking at the screenshot of the events, wondering what's Shaping EDU, what is this? It's because there's never a comprehensive page before that actually educated people about what's all happening event-wise around what are the experiences around UTO and beyond. We'll be adding more events to it, definitely in the coming weeks, if not days.
I do believe that was one of the initiatives that came straight from Culture Weavers. So that was really fun that we were able to get that going for everyone.
No kidding. So it was great to see it.
Yeah.
I think an important point that was on the slide before was that, events, not meetings, is an important, because we were talking earlier about like what constitutes an event. I didn't really think of it like that, if there's a registration process that's a little bit more than just accepting a meeting invite, that can kind of give you an idea of, is this an event versus like a big meeting? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's an interesting distinction.
It is.
Because we've talked about that within the team, like how do we really communicate that?
And we're learning and trying to get better and better. That's a really good point. It's like it's very much the equivalent of like when you talk in a data intelligence meeting. How do you define an active user? How do you define an event or meeting? These seem simple, but when you peel back the layers, it's actually a lot more complex. So
well, we can work with you. Erin's very good at working through the details.
She is.
Amen.
She's a pro.
Okay, so next up, before we get to kind of some questions. So if you're sitting here thinking like, hey, this is a cool meeting, I'd like to, if you're not running away scared and you'd like to be more involved, basically, we'd love for you to be more involved. So in order to really understand all the stories being born and living every day across UTO, we have to actually be ubiquitous, which is really hard. It's hard. And so we rely on you to tell us what is story worthy. And so we have now over 20 communications ambassadors, or maybe 20 on the dot, coming from, I think, representing every team so far right now at UTO. And it's about 2.5 hours monthly worth of time. What you do is you contribute and help craft stories that go up on our web and are shared out on our social media, and helps kind of generate the ideas for content. It's also an opportunity to upskill just by virtue of getting together and working on stories and editorial. My aim is for people to be learning from other teams, to be learning communications tips and tricks along the way, and then paying forward those new tips and tricks to your team, and exposing your team to that, and really being an ambassador. And so I think, when Tristan's slide where he said, I'm here to tell your story. So just think of it this way. If you don't share the story, it's going to remain untold, and nothing makes us sadder than untold stories.
And speaking of that, Sam, I had forgotten that the submission form to submit a story, which we had separate from the source now ticket as well, should be added to that page at some point, because I mean, it's been done, but, so I'm just saying, like, if you don't want to invest that time, I guess, in communications ambassadors, or you know someone who has a story, whatever, we'll have a link up there eventually, just like, hey, submit this, and so we're aware of it, we can reach out.
Story generation, yeah, that's true. We want to make sure that those that are really busy or just don't have the wherewithal to be a part of the ambassadors can still get their voice heard.
Yeah, even if it's like a, minimal time, just type out some stuff and then send it. Type a couple sentences and I'll figure out from there.
Amen. So we've kind of spent the first about 45 minutes talking about ourselves and what we do. We say we're new here, new. But we first want to hear if you have any follow-up questions about our services and partnering with us. And then beyond that, we want to get a sense of some of the topics that matter to you so that we can start to plan and create some programming for future communications campfires that meet those needs.
Like, for example, I know we've thought of, like, one of the features someone's talking about optimizing your LinkedIn or something like that. Headshots.
Headshots would be like a really hot topic around here for your LinkedIn.
Yeah. So like things like that we can, like, skills that we can help build.
And also any topics that are important to you. Like, we don't want to be the only ones hosting campfires, so we want to extend that invitation to your teams as well. Anything. We'll take anything.
No, seriously though, I mean, aside from, first, any questions about our services?
I have. Okay. Well, I'm looking at your UTO submission. So you said you have a website, and is that a link off the UTO site and to your own site? Is that where the stories will go? And where will they go, or do we suggest where they go, or how does that work?
So the current idea we have for the communications ambassador format is that it'll be kind of a feature story, hopefully monthly, and then maybe more frequently after that, depending on how much content we get. But to be published on the UTO website, it'll be on the home page. We distribute through social media. We'll submit through Insight at the very least, which goes to faculty and staff. What is it, 16,000 or whatever the number is? It goes to everyone's email. So that's a pretty big audience. And then, depending on the story, not to put down other things, but some things don't have a further reach of newsworthiness. But for those that do, Issue Now is also another good. That's like a publication that, having worked on the other side of journalism, outside outlets look at Issue Now to, like, figure out stories that follow up with that. So that kind of stuff. It just depends from there, and we'll branch out. But hopefully a whole bunch of places is where it'll live. But homepage.
Yeah, homepage. Design once, deploy everywhere. So think of it as a digital magazine, but on our website, if there's, several feature stories that then also get made into e-newsletter content that gets sent out that way, and also shared as individual links on our social media. And also as a way, we know that there's disparate but connected sites like Get Protected. So even teasing to content that lives on other sites so that we can unify the presence more. So design once, deploy everywhere. Once the stories are written, they'll go out everywhere.
And our social handles currently are LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Which has seen a lot of growth, at least Twitter and LinkedIn and all. But the Twitter has surged, like 600% growth.
600% growth on Twitter and 200% on LinkedIn in the past month.
Mainly issue account retweet.
To keep retweeting too.
Yeah.
And so I know, like, the newsletter idea has been done before, but I think the hope with some of the stuff, again, not to put down ideas or whatever, but some things don't necessarily necessitate a full feature-length story, but it's like, hey, we want to share this. Putting those together can get eyes on different things. And then for those things that, engage or something like that, that's going to be a whole story or other kind of feature things that.
So features, blogs. And so think about if you ever wanted to do a personal blog, like your experience on the job or top 10 tips I've learned in this whatever it is, we'd love for you to have a platform to share your voice. And so blogging can be seen as more personal content. So blogs, features, and briefs. What now?
Oh, yeah, I was just using.
Oh, yeah. So, and briefs would be, things that are a few lines that, like, might be just like some, like, an update made to some.
Sure.
PeopleSoft.
PeopleSoft is out.
Yeah.
Read
View only, please. Don't forget.
So to all of these services, in regards to like event coordination, editorials, UTO-wide announcements and stuff, do you have an understanding of your typical turnaround time on these?
They're now on our website. So if you go to our website /CC services, there's lead times and everything. Though we understand sometimes it can't be helped if urgent things come up, but we do have estimated lead times on everything.
Some of those lead times are at least, some of those are within, because sometimes they'll not take as much time. Yeah.
So there are a whole slew of other communication activities that occur in specific departments. Is there going to be efforts to consolidate some of that, or?
Great question. It's almost like the question of centralized project management versus, we know there's also individual project managers on teams too. So that's a little bit of what's happening, honestly. I don't have the answer yet, but the thing that we need to be strategic about is comms can very quickly become a catch-all in like website, for example. Like, so where do we draw the line? So I would say, like, I love, and I think we talked about this in Engage, just like sitting down and kind of fleshing out what that might look like. I think it's probably not a unilateral decision for me to make, but I would love to pick people's brains about how that could work.
Well, and that's part of this, hopefully the idea of this campfire and the ambassador program is like, hey, we're telling you this stuff, bring it back to your teams, and we can like be more, I guess, aligned on stuff, at least, like just preaching the good word of the brand. Just so your teams have slides that look good and stuff like that when you present them, so I think that's not necessarily like we're trying to take over, but I think that's kind of the idea of the.
Not what I meant.
No, yeah.
But there is a disconnect for our customers in terms of where communication, like official communications, do come from. And then in terms of other topics that matter to me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like take over.
No, this is exactly what we hoped to happen.
But demographic information, audience. Across the enterprise, getting information like that key, like champions across the campus, and then also what are our channels? What are our mechanisms? What are their frequencies? What is their reach? Because that is what we're really bad at. Because we don't know this information, right? Like, what are the best channels? If I come to you and say, hey, I need this information out, what would actually, it's easy for me to say, I want it in ASU now, but is that really appropriate, right?
I think that's our Q3 goal, actually.
Okay.
Actually, I think you just spelled it out for us. So right now, the team went on a retreat yesterday before this meeting, an offsite retreat. It's how nice it is to have a full day of uninterrupted with meetings to like strategize. And so fundamental things, we're getting started on to build infrastructure. So talking about even like something as basic as the mission, the vision, what's our voice, what is our unique value proposition as an organization, so that there's a unification of messaging across all communications and even across our stories, which represent a diversity of work and impacts happening, like what are the common threads. And so we're starting a lot of that work, and that work leads to things like KPIs. And so as we kind of tease talking about some of our social platforms, we're beginning to put metrics around and understand like what growth actually means, unique user, and so definitely building that infrastructure is something we aim to do. And then I think our Q4 goal is building a partner network, utilizing nodes across ASU, from the marketing hub to EOS to others, to have this harmonious community where we are exchanging important information and not creating one-size-fits-all communications that are just sent out to the masses, but tailoring communications to specific stakeholder groups in schools, because the way ASU operates is things aren't centralized necessarily. Each academic unit does things differently, and so we need to understand what resonates with their groups and stakeholders. And so I digress, but the bottom line is we're working on these, I think, fundamental and foundational opportunities, and kind of building from the ground up, and having these types of conversations are really important for us. And so hopefully just to let you know, the communications campfires hopefully are a value add to you, but also are a tremendous value add to us, because we're getting direct feedback from the people we want to serve. So.
Or if I'm, can I ask you about the champions you're saying? I was kind of building like you said, partner network or people, points of contact that help spread whatever message that we're trying to, is that kind of what you're describing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Or if we have adoption plans that are specific to a building, right?
Sure.
Like who in that building do we reach out to?
Yeah.
We don't know. Like it's all tribal knowledge right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge. And I'm not saying like it's easy to fix because it's going to be constantly changing.
Right.
But one other aspect to think about is Noel's team is building an internal CRM. And if that's the case, it also needs to be in there, right? So we can search it and have a database.
I can completely understand. We're gonna, as we build these kind of like organic communities of champions, we're gonna lose track of who they are and what our touch points have been.
Because what came to mind when you said that, and I wanted to make sure I was on the right track, is we're doing the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we're working with some people at Fulton about like an event. So it's just like, that just came to mind, like we're like making contacts about getting career stuff for cybersecurity. It's like, where is that going to go once they leave or once the project's over?
Well, and we didn't even know about them until this year, which is like such a shame.
There's a whole cybersecurity school at West Campus that we don't really interact with as much, so it's like, that's just what came to mind when you brought that up. Make sure I get on the right track with that.
No, I mean, I think it's fair to say we're building these connections as we go and as we learn, and we're also committed to the agile approach. And so it's why conversations like this are so important, and we're so thankful for them. Other people kind of have topics that they think would make they want to show up to a campfire and learn about or hear about, or even communication-specific challenges you may be facing or opportunities you see.
One thing I'm curious about is I've just noticed over the years that HR has done a pretty decent job of advertising its trainings that they have that are just ASU-wide, open to anyone. I gotta imagine we can offer that if we're not already. So I'm curious what can come out of, is it Paul Stoll, our UTO training, that group, and how we can kind of advertise those services and then expand those. I have just one quick example, if you don't mind me sharing.
Please. Go for it, yeah.
I'm not sure who has the Zoom right now.
Oh, will you stop sharing? You can share.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
share
see.
the screen.
Stop share. All right, thanks, Dixon. Go for it.
Yeah, so just as an example, this is Ed Plus has this cool little Slack channel where they just, show basic stuff that could really benefit a lot of positions around ASU, just, not just UTO, really simple things like in Excel. And right now the audience is pretty small, only 56 people are in here. And I'm just curious if we ended up putting something together, tried to scale this ASU-wide, if there'd be a communication opportunity there. And I'm also curious which group would be best positioned to head that up. I know it would probably be within UTO, but that's one of the things I hope to get out of this is we have all these great tools at ASU. Some of them are pretty expensive. I want to make sure we're getting kind of maximum value out of everything. So things like ServiceNow, Jira, just basic training on stuff like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
this is awesome.
I can kind of speak to that. I mean, those are some great tools that Ed Plus has put out there, but we've been directed since LinkedIn Learning is now enterprise-wide, stuff like that. We're not, really doing much anymore, but like anything that UTO either manages or supports, like you said, Jira or Zoom or Slack, we're out there putting all kinds of trainings available to that. But as far as another Slack channel, the only thing I would be a little hesitant with is Slack has exponentially mushroomed with all the channels, and I just worry about it getting unwieldy. I'm afraid of the Matrix and the Skynet having a baby in Slack.
Oh goodness. Well, I think just the fact that there are Slack channels being opened, though, that welcome the cross-institution conversation and sharing in of itself is a beautiful thing, and we'd like to see more of that. I think the question of who manages it, I mean, to Casey's point, it can mushroom really quickly if everyone has the ability, because everyone has the ability to create channels. And so what has been, I think, successful for some of our similar cross-institution Slack channels, two of them I'll reference. One of them is called Slack Hacks, and it is tips and tricks for using Slack. And it used to be a lot of it a one-way street. We had an expert at EdPlus, Cooper Craig, pushing out awesome content and tips. But then as Slack got more and more used across ASU, people were chiming in with their own tips and their own questions. And then the people who weren't experts had become experts and were answering the questions. And suddenly I'm in there and I'm seeing amazing collateral that I could be using for our slide decks about Slack. And so that's just one channel. And then there's our Slack champions. And these are people that, when you think about events, I like to think of them as community building because it's not necessarily about the one-off. We brought people together for Slack visioning sessions around how to creatively use Slack or maybe what some pain points were. And then we opened up a channel ASU-wide for anyone who is interested in the creative use of Slack, who are championing it at their own content. And now they're producing their own content. There's over 200, 200 people in there, and it's one of the most active, or it's one of the busiest channels. And the beautiful part, Dixon, is that it really self-manages because it's a group of champions who are really into it and are taking it on themselves to share and learn from each other, which, hey, when we see that in our student populations, we love seeing that. So it's great to see in our staff and beyond. I think we have 1 minute left, but any other burning questions or topic ideas? Burning, fun, very intense.
A couple things, unless anybody else wants to jump in. When we do things like that we have Slack champions, if we could put that out there again somehow, because when you put something out on Slack and people jump on it and it disappears after that, and then you mention that and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that from months ago or whatever when somebody put an announcement about that. So if we could redo some of that again, I don't think you need to put that on the calendar, but just push that out every once in a while because we have so many Slack channels and there's so much going on that sometimes people will miss things like that.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing.
That's a point that we could do some more in case you missed it.
Mm-hmm.
In case you missed it.
Yeah, like a summary on Fridays or something.
There's a lot of different things we could do like that.
And I get a lot of feedback about, where did you see that, Sandy? When I do stuff, I'll go, oh, I'm doing this. Where did you see that? I'm like, in Slack, right? So it's really bad.
I call it meta marketing. It's when you're promoting Slack channels within Slack. It's a new hottest marketing trend, right?
Right.
I mean, really.
But then you asked suggestions for the campfires. If we had a few tips, some sessions on tips or stuff. Okay. So thank you very much for putting those templates out because I used one the other day.
Nice. Yay.
Except when I used it, it got my document all screwed up because that could have been something else. But I used the ASU logo and then it really, something freaky happened. But I
put it in? Okay, good.
No, but I was just thinking that as when we have these, maybe 10 minutes of, hey, have you seen this?
Mm-hmm.
You want to try this?
Let me show you what we have.
Or any types of tips on how to outline an article even maybe, like how do you write so fast? I'm like, I know to write fast, right? So that would be helpful to me and probably to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, thank you all so much for coming and taking the time. And please don't be strangers. Join the Public Communications Ambassador channel. If you search for it in Slack, it'll come right up. And there's a form on our website to officially join this, and then you'll get an invite from Tristan. It's all very exciting.
Okay, great.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you on the phone. Thank you so much.